Just a little bit of background on myself. I joined Citi about 2 years ago. As you said, I'm not from banking, so this is my first banking role. I came from an AI startup, and before that I was at a fintech startup, which was really figuring out how to send money across social networks. So yeah, very different to the world of banking. So it's been a very interesting start to my career in banking. So like Risha said earlier on from J&J, I'm also double hatting. So I look after marketing for the region as well. So we cover 17 markets, which is all of North Asia, Southeast Asia, and we also cover APAC EMEA, which includes Poland, the UK, Dubai, Middle East, and Russia. So it's kind of it's a little bit of everything outside of North America and Mexico. So what I'm going to talk to you today is about really reimagining the banking experience and coming at it and thinking about banking in a completely different way than traditionally banks have thought. So I guess what we see today is that the sum of brand and technology means that we have better customer experiences than we've ever had before. So every time you pull out your phone, every time you consume an experience from a Tesla or a Netflix, your appetite for great digital experiences increases every single time. So you want more and you want better, and every single time it just keeps going up, the bar just keeps going up. When you see people paying, for example, $1,000 for the next model of a Tesla, although it hasn't even been manufactured yet, or they just want and desire everything that Apple produces, although we don't even know what the next thing is going to be, it seems a little bit irrational. But it's actually not irrational when you understand the anticipatory reward system. And what that means is we're going to always think about being rewarded as consumers. We want the next great thing from Netflix. We know that they might give us a month's free subscription. They might make new content. They might bring out new movies, but we want it when they do it. So they're creating a loyalty-based system which is entirely emotional in how they engage with us. Netflix has us all hooked, and we're all emotionally attached to Netflix. So who is driving this desire? Who's driving the benchmark upwards? Well, it started with the millennials. So this is the largest generation in world history. They account for 1.8 billion of the 7 billion people on Earth, and in the US alone spend about $1.3 trillion a year. When they think about banking, they're not too enamored with us on the whole. Most of them say that they would absolutely never consider going into a bank branch, and about 70% of them interact with us only on the digital channels. And about a third of them think that there's no need for banks at all. I think it's 6 out of 10 from a recent Facebook survey, 6 out of 10 said that they would rather visit the dentist than visit a bank. However, there is hope. So about a year and a half ago, Oracle and Wharton released a report on millennials. And interestingly, what they found was that 60% of millennials said that they trust banks as a very safe place to put their money. But more interestingly, 88% of them say that they trust banks to give them personal financial advice. So that's the opportunity for banks. It's to understand how to build products that are fully customized to them and to serve our products in the channel where they are and where they want to be, not forcing them into branches, not forcing them to log on to online banking, and importantly, not forcing them to download a mobile application. So when we think about building relationships, we have to think about what is it about. It's really not about banking. And actually, we should never talk about banking. Banking is just the way to do things, but it's not tapping into really people's lifestyles and understanding how is it that we can help you to get the most out of your banking experience without ever really talking to them about banking. So just a little bit of background on Citi for those of you who are not familiar with us. We are the largest consumer bank in the world. So we have 3 main areas of presence, which is North America, Mexico, and then APAC and EMEA, which is really rest of the world outside of North America. We carry about $300 billion of deposits with us on a yearly basis, and we're the largest credit card issuer in the world. We have about 2,500 branches worldwide, but as we increase and ramp up our digital experiences, we're closing a lot of our branches because we want to service people in the channels that they want to be serviced in, which is predominantly online. About 2 years ago, Citi decided to take a very different journey, a very transformational journey. You heard Microsoft and others talking earlier on about digital transformation. Citi is very much on that journey. We're transforming the entire organization to work in agile. We are using HCD, or human-centered design thinking, as the process and the methodology to really force people to think differently about how we develop products and services, and how we start everything with the customer at the center. The entire process now begins and ends with the customer. We never think along product lines anymore. So just a little bit of history. We started obviously with branches. We were one of the biggest US retail branches. Then we were the first company in the world to discover and launch the ATM. Quickly moved into online banking, and then obviously launched mobile applications all over the world. And then the question now is, what is next? So what we're doing, first of all, is we're very seriously investing in evolving our culture. So what does this mean? So traditionally, banks have always thought about product lines and what their capabilities are, rather than thinking about what customers want and need. To evolve to that model, you need to have a very different mindset, which is a little bit of what the panel were talking about earlier on. So what we are doing is we've defined these behaviors as being absolutely linked to our leadership standards. Bold. So the idea of making bold decisions, the idea of giving people permission to fail, and it doesn't really matter whether it's failing quickly or not. The idea is that they can fail. So 2 years ago, we set up a fintech organization, which is housed outside of the main BAU of the bank. And the reason why is to let people really explore and discover and imagine what the next phase of banking really will look like. We are looking for people to be curious, to look up, to engage with the world around them. And importantly, we're looking for people with diversity of opinion, diversity of thought. So when I hire for my team now, and we're always hiring, when I hire for my team, we tend to look for people outside of financial services. We look for people from e-commerce a lot because we're acquiring a lot digitally online. We look for people from the great customer service brands, from some of the airlines, and we traditionally look for people from tech industries in the last couple of years. We want people who are adaptable. They need to understand that change is every day. It isn't something that comes with a restructure every year, but they need to be willing to change. They need to be willing to work cross-functionally, importantly, and not sit in their silos in their existing teams. And on that, we're creating very much an evolving digital strategy. So we, about 2 years ago, we released a whole set of APIs. So we were the first bank to really open up our banking platform so that we can collaborate with startups all over the world. So we released about 85% of our capabilities through a microservices layer of APIs. And what that does is it enables us very quickly to integrate with fintechs, and we can launch a whole range of services that previously would have taken us 3 or 4 years to bring to market. And then lastly, we're bringing Citi to the world, meaning that we don't want to force people to log into online banking, and we don't want to force them to use the application unless they want to. So we've integrated with some of the biggest social media platforms in the world. So we can see that we have momentum. Our strategy is gaining a lot of momentum. So we had growth of 43% growth on mobile users year on year last year. We have about 50 digital partnerships in this region alone. And we see that there is a huge interest in people having relationship managers on the wealth side. People still want to deal with people, so we're providing them with that expertise and that one-on-one relationship. And we are competing with a much lighter physical presence. So I mentioned before that we have closed branches, and we've seen, since we've moved and evolved this digital strategy, we've had 6 quarters of consecutive growth. In terms of how we acquire, it's moved from 15% credit card acquisition to 35%, and we'll probably go for about 40% this year. So almost half of all the credit cards we acquire globally are acquired digitally online. In terms of mobile penetration, and this number is really just across 17 countries, but some of the countries are way higher and some are a little bit lower, but on average it'll be about 32% across the region. And on digital loan sales, again, almost half of them are being done through the mobile device or online. So we have to think about our customers' relationship with their finances. It is completely changing and evolving. The customer is in much more control than they ever have been before. In the past, banks really played the role of protecting and storing wealth and helping people to grow their wealth. But now it's much more about empowering customers. So what we're seeing with fintech is the disruption of a $2.5 trillion industry. So the core tenets of banking, which are pay, save, protect, invest, are being completely disrupted by this fintech industry. And we welcome it. So you see, companies like PayPal, Mint, Betterment, all of them are looking at various parts of the value chain, but none of them come with a solution for all of it, because traditionally that's what banks have done. So they're picking off the more valuable parts of the food chain, and then they are, as somebody said earlier on, eating our lunch. But what we realize is that we have interest in having a very strong partnership with the fintechs. And the reason why is because our advantages and what we bring to the party are very different to what the fintechs bring. So, for example, fintechs tend to bring a culture of diversity. They're nimble, they're able to move very quickly, and they're subject matter experts in one or two particular areas. They have a single focus in terms of a technology platform, and they're not dealing with any legacy. When it comes to large banks, we have a very robust infrastructure. We're experts in compliance and all the things that go around it. And we have global reach and capabilities. We also have the ability to integrate partners across the multiple platforms. So actually, it's a mutual opportunity. I think there was a lot of talk a few years ago about fintechs threatening the closure of banks. I think everyone's realized that that's actually not the way we should be looking at it. We should be looking at it as an opportunity to partner and to grow the entire pie. So that leads us to, how are we reimagining the banking experience? We want to create a much more human experience, so we start everything with research. The entire process now, every single feature we want to launch, we start off by talking about the benefits to the customer. So it's based on research and co-creation with customers, and we ask them, what is it that you need? And that's the starting point for the development of every single service and product. We want our experiences to be much more intuitive and engaging. Gone are the days when you have to sit at your computer and think, I've got to really focus because I've got to do my online banking. I'm afraid I'm going to get my password wrong because I'm going to get locked out. So I think we're trying to make it much more intuitive. So for example, you can use a Touch ID to authenticate. Soon you'll be able to use your iris. You can already use your face on the iPhone 10 if you have one. So I think that we're trying to integrate all of the modern technologies to make sure that the experience is as seamless as possible. And obviously, it needs to be relevant and convenient. And importantly, we need to be where customers are. So this is what we did in 2016. We launched the Citi Mobile Challenge, which was launched across 4 continents. And we had about 6,500 innovators who entered, and about 2,000 registrants in Asia alone. And it took place across 376 cities globally. So it was a massive, massive roadshow, and several deployments from the fintechs have been accelerated into our product portfolio as a result of that. In 2017, again, starting with the customer, we listened to what customers told us. And a lot of people told us that they didn't know what to do with their reward points. So we thought, well, actually, why don't we use your reward points from your credit card to pay for things that you use on an everyday basis? So we partnered with GIFAsia and with Lazada. So you can use your points online. If you have a Citi credit card, you can use it to pay for goods on Lazada. And now you can use it also to shop with Amazon globally. And we also have a Thank You Rewards platform where you can book flights, you can book hotels, and you have special deals like you'll get your 4th night all free, all courtesy of your credit card points. And then when we think about what people do on an everyday basis, most people take a Grab or they take an Uber. So we thought, well, we should let people use their points to pay for that. And while they're at it, we'll use some APIs to try and acquire more credit cards. So we integrated with Grab, and you can get a Citi credit card now when you take a Grab taxi by just applying online, and you get $50 worth of free Grab rides for anyone who's interested. And okay, so in terms of what are we doing next in 2018, so we're moving much more towards a highly personalized experience. We're using our big data layer to really integrate all of the data we have. So I think what you see today is that most companies are swimming in data, but they're not actually using the data that well. So we're taking all the data we have, and as a bank that's quite a lot, and we're figuring out how to deploy that data in a way that actually results in a much more personalized experience for customers. I think everybody in the room will be familiar with banks sending the messages which are completely uncontextual and not in any way relevant to their lives. So you could be at Changi Airport and you get an offer to tell you that there's something happening in the north of Singapore, meaning that we're not really understanding consumer behavior. So we're going to use our data, we're going to use geodata to deliver much more relevant and contextual offers. And at the end of 2017, we began to launch our new next-gen mobile experience. This is a completely re-engineered mobile experience. We launched it first in Singapore for our cards-only customers. And it is contextual and it's relevant to you as a customer. So you can very quickly, within 2 swipes, you're in under 2 seconds, you can authenticate. You don't have to wait anymore for, most banking apps have the spinning wheel of death, as I call it, as you wait for it to rev up and then it launches. So this is under 2 seconds and you can see your credit card balances, you can transact very quickly, you can avail of all of your balances. If you want to take what we call an equal payment plan, you can. You can select and credit if you want to use your points to pay for purchases. So it's all contained within the application. This is going to roll out across all of our products and services, and by the end of 2018, we hope to have most of it complete in the 17 markets that we're in. And so how are we bringing Citi to the world? So this is just a snapshot of how diverse Asia's digital landscape is. And if you can see the different categories that I've put down here, you've got travel, you've got shopping, and you've got social media. And you can see that there's obviously a couple of very big players. I mean, Facebook is pretty much in all countries, and you can see that Uber and Grab, Lazada, Expedia. But it's hard to know from a customer perspective, how do you integrate a banking service into all of these platforms? So what we decided to do is, let's listen to our customers and we'll be where our customers want us to be. So what we did was we integrated with WeChat in China. Now, just to give you, anyone who's not familiar with WeChat, and I'm sure most of you are, there's almost 1 billion users on a monthly basis now on WeChat, and 46 billion red packages were sent over the Lunar New Year. So just the level of engagement, the amount of messages sent every day, it's quite extraordinary. Alipay is the other half of the equation in China, and they have about 450 million monthly active users. So what we did was we integrated our services so that Citi customers can now pay their credit card bills via Alipay, and they can transact within the application. So they never need to leave. While they're in there, they can transfer money, they can make payments, pay bills, and so on. And we did the same thing with Line in Thailand. So you can redeem your rewards online, and you can use coins to buy stickers, and that's been incredibly popular in Thailand. With Qantas in Australia, we used our APIs. We gave them all of the capability and they built their own application. But Citi runs everything in the background and we service everything for them. But Qantas, it's Qantas UI on the front end and it's 100% a Qantas experience. So this is how we're partnering with the open ecosystem to bring our financial services further. And then finally, just to talk about what we're doing with Facebook Messenger. This is launching later on this month in Singapore, and then it will roll out across the region. So basically, what we saw was, again, people don't necessarily want to call centres, and they don't want to wait for emails to come back. They want to transact there and then, and they want to get help when they need it. So social servicing is a very strong theme for us in 2018. So we launched a Citi chatbot on Facebook Messenger. And you can see here just some of the screens. So when you get started, first of all, there are 3 simple steps. You just have to enter your card number, your date of birth, and then you're done. You're perennially logged in. And you can look at your rewards balances, you can look at your account balances, and the next stage will be that you'll be able to make payments, you'll be able to use your credit card points to book online. And so it's all very easy and intuitive, and the bot is learning as we go using natural language. And the idea is that soon you won't even have to log into your application at all if you're in Messenger. So they're just some of the screens, and the bot has a very nice personality and says some pretty funny things as well. So I think, the point is people want always-on coverage. They want to be serviced when they want to be serviced, and they don't want to have to wait. So we're reacting to what our customers want and trying to be relevant to them at that moment in time. And that is it. Thank you very much.